Hello and good morning, everybody. This is Eric Levy with Meridian Business Services. Appreciate you joining our bi-monthly webinar. This one is titled Dashboards Don't Lie, the 6 Reasons You Should Be Running Your Business from a Dashboard. And so we're going to dive into those 6 reasons, actually show a number of real-life examples of dashboards from various business models, and show the benefits associated with utilizing dashboards to provide analytical insights into your organization. Once again, my name is Eric Levy. I'm the Director of Sales here at Meridian Business Services. And Meridian Business Services is a CPA firm, so we are strong believers in finding analytics and insights to drive both top and bottom line results within an organization. So utilizing data to an organization's best advantage. And we also are a NetSuite solution provider and reseller as well. And we'll be utilizing NetSuite for to highlight some of the dashboard technologies during today's conversation. Please feel free to interject through the chat window any questions during today's conversation. I'd be happy to answer them as appropriate. So we will go ahead and get started with the presentation, have a few slides prepared, and we also will be making this interactive utilizing actual dashboarding technology as well to highlight these various points. So the 6 reasons, as we highlighted in the emails that you most likely have received from us on why you should be running your business from a dashboard, are improving employee performance, really monitoring goals and achievements. The old saying, inspect what you expect, and we'll highlight that. Managing by exception is a huge area with a lot of organizations that we discuss at dashboards. So being able to surface data and key pieces of information that an organization needs at the management level without having to micromanage. There's oftentimes a strong ROI by saving time and money and surfacing the correct data to make analytical decisions and provide the right insights to the right people at the right time. The fourth area is removing human error. So providing insights into potential problems on a manager's dashboard so a manager can solve those problems in a timely manner. The 5th reason is focusing the company on priorities that matter. So everybody is on the same page. The way I think of it is everybody is in the rowboat, rowing the same direction, clearly having a path, and having data and KPIs that drive each of the individual departments down to the individual level of what is driving their day and their importance in the organization, and being able to measure that to make sure that everybody is on the same priorities and driving to those priorities that matter. And then along with that is really the 6th area, which is integrating all of the various operations and departments within the organizations. And that really helps to prepare for the future, creating business agility, having everybody working together. So to set the stage, I sometimes like to talk about, really where we are in terms of the technology landscape. And Gartner, a third-party analyst firm, put out a report that really called where we are in terms of cloud, data, social, and mobile, the nexus of forces, and giving small businesses and mid-sized businesses, the chance to really invest in incredibly powerful technology that can be implemented quickly in a fraction of the cost that previous software platforms were. And so that allows small businesses to build a customer experience, to have data and analytics, create business agility that's difficult for larger companies to replicate. And so it actually gives small and mid-sized businesses a huge advantage when they're able to capitalize on the technology. So much in the news and technology is around these disruptors, the Ubers, the Airbnb, the Amazons of the world that are disrupting industries. But I think it's critical to point out that you don't have to be a disruptor to have a really strong impact on your industry and grow your business. Utilizing data, having strong processes, and utilizing modern technology to your advantage can provide tremendous results. So that's really a key to this point here. So as we dive into these 6 areas, I want to take a look at each of these 6 areas, and we'll actually be utilizing, like I said, actual dashboard technology using the NetSuite platform to highlight these areas. The first area is improving employee performance by monitoring goals and achievements. So going back to what I said earlier is inspecting what you expect. And oftentimes I work with organizations and there's limited business visibility. So they're running out of, a number of Excel spreadsheets. Nobody's sure which spreadsheet is the most common, is the most recent version. Management reports are being produced out of Excel spreadsheets, and they're out of date and they're prone to errors, and they take a long time to run. So it really is challenging to get a comprehensive view across the entire business, with these challenges in place. And so that's where a modern dashboard, program can provide the analytics and data to surface to key members of the organization when they need it and where they need it. So we're actually going to take a deeper dive into these dashboards and really what dashboards mean on a role-by-role basis. So when we talk about business intelligence, I think it's important to point out a role-based view of the business intelligence. So you can think about it that, I think traditionally it's been thought of as ad hoc, reports is the way it started off, and then maybe just some power users or management level reports, were produced, out of business intelligence platforms. But really we look at it as a comprehensive dashboard view. So everybody from the CEO to the warehouse manager is able to see information that drives their day, that keeps them on task and allows them to, be measured for what is expected from them. And that's really what a true modern dashboard platform should provide. So why don't I take a look, actually we're going to switch over to the NetSuite platform and go into some of these dashboards here. So here is the NetSuite platform. It's, there's other dashboarding platforms as well. This is the platform that we happen to work with. So NetSuite combines really the full suite of a business operating system, including business intelligence and dashboard technology, but it's also an accounting system, so commonly a replacement to QuickBooks or legacy accounting platforms. It includes CRM, so really the sales management side, opportunity management, even includes e-commerce as well, and inventory management and distribution if you aren't familiar with NetSuite. So that's why as we take a look at this, we're going to see all those different pieces of the business across various dashboards. So the dashboard that I see here that we're logged in to is that of a senior executive. So I have reminders up here. I have things like graphs, monthly sales totals that I can get additional insights from. Financials, customer by, state, et cetera. So I really can get a deep view of my organization. Like I said, it's role-based, so as, if I'm in the distribution sector, here are all the different roles that I have, everything from a warehouse operator to sales to, the senior executive role. And a modern dashboard platform allows for the drill down of the data, so we can drill into what's making up our underlying numbers. So if we want to see income, we can drill all the way down to the transaction level to see what makes up the income from that those numbers that are surfaced on our dashboard. So we can see that there's an incredibly large invoice, here for Smith Plumbing, let's say, last month that is, really skewing our numbers. So we can drill all the way to the underlying invoice and see the transaction within the platform. And that's what a platform like NetSuite provides, having both the business intelligence and the underlying transactions in the system. So I'm going to jump back out to my dashboard here by clicking the home button. And, a modern dashboard platform like NetSuite is customizable as well. So one thing I'll mention is that all the dashboards, everything that I'm showing today is really out of the box with NetSuite. So, I think that's an important indicator in considering dashboards for the organization, because you can see all of these really pretty dashboards, but then a lot of times with the technology platform, the demo is very different than what you actually receive upon implementation. You get a blank slate, and then you have to build all the dashboards for each role from there. So with NetSuite in this case, it's built upon leading practices and KPIs on an industry-by-industry basis. So here I'm looking at distribution. We'll also look at, professional services business or manufacturing business as well, various verticals and even micro-verticals that define the KPIs, the key performance indicators, and define the data that shows up on each of the roles in the dashboard across those various businesses. So in terms of customization, it's also important to be able to customize the dashboard. So doing things like adding a standard KPI of, in this case, let's look at our pipeline, which is future sales opportunities. Helps if I click it there. There we go. And we just added the pipeline now to the key performance indicators on our dashboard. We can also move these up. So let's say sales trends are important to me. I can see those at the very top. So we're going to come back to this role in a second. I just wanted to show a couple other roles. So as a sales, as an individual sales contributor to an organization, I have a very different dashboard that doesn't show, the financials as much as what the sales are that are driving my information. So new leads that are coming in, new sales, weekly sales trends, items that are available to sell, et cetera, my top 25 customers. So the data that's on an individual sales role is very different than the senior executive, and yet again is very different from that in warehouse operations. So in warehouse operations, we're primarily going to be looking at the, orders to fulfill, orders to receive into the warehouse, shipping and packing, and return authorization. So once again, very different set of key performance indicators and metrics that are driving my day, but each of these can be fully customizable as well. The last area that I will show is that of a, let's say we're talking in a services business, so that of a services dashboard. So if I'm a project manager in a services business, my dashboard is going to look very different. I want to see the percent complete of projects, what project I have in flight, how many hours we've completed versus the estimate, resource allocation, making sure that all my resources are utilized or not, or, that they're not overly utilized, as is the case here with Abby. So surfacing that data that's important, we call managing by exception and finding those exceptions as well. So these are just a number of various views of various dashboards and roles. The next thing that we are going to look at is allowing for management by exception. So I alluded to this earlier, and how do you find those problems and solve them without being a micromanager, but making sure they're surfaced before they become a real problem, before the customer calls and is extremely upset, or that that maybe you have a new sales rep that is underselling items. So an example of one that I quickly pulled together is a custom view on a dashboard for the sales manager, let's say. So let's switch back over to NetSuite here and show on a sales and operations manager dashboard. So this is going to be a high-level overview of their sales team, analytics that are important to them. So in terms of, I think I have this one at the bottom here. Okay, so what I've done is I've created a report here on my dashboard of gross, orders with a gross profit under 25%. So we're selling these, really under where we need to. And being able to see that, I could easily add the sales rep as well to this. In a modern dashboard platform like NetSuite, it should be very easy for the end user to configure this and set this up, this report up. I can, oops. we will, there we go. If I can get my mouse to work, sorry, I meant to go to edit. So we're going to edit this, and you can see when we edit this particular view how that data is made up from the underlying database. So it doesn't take SQL training. It doesn't require advanced coding. Fairly easy to create the criteria that we're looking for and the items as well. And this one actually was created from an out-of-the-box one. So out of the box with a platform like NetSuite, there are hundreds and hundreds of saved reports and saved searches that can be modified. Oops, I think I clicked the wrong thing there. Saved searches. If we look at all of the saved searches, that can be modified commonly, very easily. So 700 different reports out of the box that can be modified as well for dashboards, or you can create your own. So we commonly will take one of these, like available to sell inventory, and maybe we just want to put a filter on it, such as for a certain class or a certain location, making it very easy to filter down that data and show that on our dashboard as well. So in a modern dashboard application, it's easy to modify it as well and allow for self-reporting by the end users also. Another example of managing by exception is the ability to see customers with overdue balances. And I'll show you how easy this is to set up here. This allows us to have all these different views here, and we can create our own as well for these reminders. But I just added earlier today, this view with customers with overdue balances here. And so I can see that I have 9 customers with overdue balances that are, most likely on a credit hold as the sales and operations manager. So here I can see the, their overdue balance and their credit limit as well, and drill into those underlying customers. So another area that we can, look at dashboards is really on the customer level as well. So let's actually look at one of these customer views. So I'm opening this in a new tab to look at our customer record. And the customer can actually have its own dashboard, in a platform like NetSuite. So we're not just limited to the front-end dashboards. We can have customizable dashboards that give information about the customer. So we can see very quickly, okay, how important is B# music? They last quarter, they bought 450,000. They haven't bought anything though this quarter. Maybe that's because we've had them on a credit hold. They do have a large balance. You can see, their days overdue, but it's been a long time. So, it's definitely worth a call in this case. We can see activities as well. So phone calls we've had with them, emails that have been sent by the sales rep. So this is an example of a customer dashboard. So dashboards aren't just limited to front-end dashboard. It can also be utilized by an entity as well, like a customer. So, adding to that, being able to quickly find what you need. I think the customer dashboard is a prime example of that, but save money and save time and money by surfacing the right data. So I actually have some organizations that when a customer calls in, their phone system is able to do a reverse lookup on the number and automatically pull up this screen right here, or a screen to add a phone call or a note as well associated with that. So right off the bat, somebody in customer service can quickly see all the information about that customer that they need to see. Another example of dashboards are dashboards specific to business functionality as well. So you don't just have to have one dashboard for your role, but in the case of a controller, let's say, not only do we have our controller view dashboard, here's our, view as the controller. We're looking at financials, at key performance indicators, at reminders, but we also have additional dashboards like an AR dashboard. So this could be if you have an AR analyst, let's say, this could be a dashboard that, they see, or it can also be, on a tab for the controller. So this dashboard here is dedicated to just, AR information. There's another one for AP as well. So we can look at our AR aging report and see, where the outstanding balances are that Teachin and Horton Hardware have a $7,000 balance that's greater than 90 days. Or we can, look at the accounts receivable. We can also filter any of these as well. We can put filters on any of the views that you see here in a platform like NetSuite. So we want to look at the largest customers. Once again, that B-sharp music that we were looking at a little bit ago, they have a really big, outstanding balance. So we probably need to take care of that. So multiple people can see that and work on that work on that issue as well. Another example is, dashboard for specific business functionality. So I see this in, manufacturing that are owned by, have they're large organizations with a board, or maybe they're owned by private equity. There is a dashboard for the board metrics. So here is the board metrics dashboard. And the board can log in. This particular demo environment doesn't have a lot of data on it, but you could see that the board can log in and see income, can see sales, can see all of the, pertinent pieces of information, employee growth, inventory, and you can even customize this dashboard as well for the board members to see. So once again, the ability to have, specific dashboards to specific functionality that you can show in the to other users. Now, I want to dive into another dashboard here as well, which is the, coming back to the sales and operations dashboard, and looking a little more at the data that's possible. So here I am on the view of a sales and operations, leader. You might recall a minute ago we looked at the customers with overdue balances. I have other reminders that really help to drive my day up here. But I want to look at the ability to filter the data right from the dashboard. So, I could open this up in its own screen, but let's just say I want a quick view of, A Wolf, one of my top sales sales executives, and their opportunities are expected to close this month. So we can filter down by that out of the box. Why don't we? I'll reset this so you can see the filtering. So here are all of the sales rep opportunity views. We don't have any filter on the status or on the expected close date, but we can filter it down to A Wolf and the opportunities that we expect to close this year. Let's try that one more time. So, and the opportunity status, maybe we want to not look at the ones that are, closed won or closed lost, but all of the other statuses as well. We can see just those. So ones that are in the proposal state or opportunity identified. Maybe we also want to look at the, gross profit by sales rep. Here's another report. So what sales reps have the highest gross profit? Well, this is interesting. Our date range is all, but maybe we just look at it by this year. And, you can see that A Wolf is one of the, well, actually there's not much data in here for this year. We'll look at last year, or all the dates. And we can see that A Wolf is one of our top sellers across all of the sales team, but also has the lowest gross profit. So, it gives us an indication that, maybe other members of our sales team are trying to maintain the margins, but aren't able to sell as much. So, is there, a good balance between those? So, providing that level of data as well, or just seeing sales orders that are placed, being able to see, sales orders, and maybe we want a sales order that's great, a report of sales orders that are greater than 20,000 this month is common. Any of these can also be emailed as well on an automated basis, in a platform like NetSuite. So, for instance, here at Meridian, we actually get a weekly email with the AR aging report sent to the management team, and also the opportunities that we have open in our pipeline as well. Moving on to let's see, back to our PowerPoint presentation. There we go. The fourth area that dashboards help with is removing human error. So quickly finding costly mistakes and surfacing them on a dashboard. So, oftentimes when we're looking at this, we try to streamline manual processes. A lot of the organizations we work with have, a lot of Excel spreadsheets, a lot of manual processes, rekeying of information between a variety of different systems. So improving those manual processes really is a first step to streamline communication. That helps to enforce accountability because everybody knows what they need to do through that process. And it also minimizes cost and manual errors, as well as keeping tabs on the business processes. So it removes that institutional knowledge, or really the tribal knowledge within an organization, which provides a great deal of benefit, and also establishes a clear approval hierarchy in the organization as well. So, one example of finding a mistake and notifying it is, if I switch back over to NetSuite here, on the senior executive dashboard of the wholesale distribution organization, I have a reminder of late non-stock orders. So these would be dropship orders that were promised to a customer more than 3 days ago, but have yet to be shipped by the manufacturer in this case. So this is just one example of being able to place those orders on a dashboard, have a clear reminder, even calling it out in red, that these orders are delayed, beyond the customer request date. And, as a manager, I need to drill into these and possibly even call the vendor, Amazon in this case, and say, what's the deal here? How can we move these orders here faster? We're going to have upset customers. So other common, workflows and ways to improve manual processes are, purchase order approval workflow, an invoicing workflow, sales order approval, three-way match, which is matching the purchase order to the item receipt to the vendor bill. Another one, which I'll show here shortly, is project scoping as well. In a professional services firm, how do you hand off project scoping? So we'll take a look at that actually in the next section in just a minute. Another thing I think is important to mention, and this goes along with dashboards, isn't completely tied to the dashboard, but having the workflow engine behind that. So not only the reporting, not only that engine to drive out automated emails, whether it's to clients, whether it's internal reports and emails, or seeing on the dashboard, but also having an easy to modify workflow engine for the approval process, for that handoff after sales order is placed. If it's over a certain amount, does somebody need to approve that? And in a platform like NetSuite, we have an approval process that allows for visual creation of these workflows in the platform. So the last thing that, or the fifth area that I'll mention, second to the last, is allowing the organization, the benefit of a dashboard is allowing an organization to focus on the priorities that matter. you know, a lot of organizations that we work with that aren't running a unified platform like NetSuite, their accounting is working out of QuickBooks. You know, a different part of the organization is heavily using Excel, and there's a lot of spreadsheets flying back and forth and a lot of emails. And so it's really difficult to find out what's happening across the business in real time. And you know, not only find problems before they occur, but make sure everybody knows what they're doing. So, and a number of the dashboards that I've shown today, you've seen the reminders. So having these reminders that are customizable, but allow for handoff as well between different departments. So here's the reminders of the warehouse, you know, that we need to receive and fulfill orders, whereas sales operational reminders are very different. Sales orders to approve and sales orders pending fulfillment. And I just want to let everybody know I've gotten a couple questions so far in the chat window. I'll answer several of the questions at the end as well if we haven't covered that topic through today's conversation. You know, in terms of a project manager as well, here's what the reminders that, you know, that they would be interested in. You know, projects that are or, you know, tasks that are overdue or due today, you know, expense reports that need approval, et cetera. And the senior executive, once again, has, you know, a different set of reminders that are important to them in driving their day. You know, maybe it's bookings with less than 50% gross profit or whatever, you know, that number is dependent on your industry, drives your industry. So I want to show how task handoff can work in an organization and can help show up on the dashboard. And in order to do that, we're going to look at a professional services organization. So this is actually an organization much like Meridian, our company that does software implementations. And in this demo environment here, it's called Dilly Services. And we are going to log in as a sales representative. Here is my dashboard as the sales rep at Dilly Services. You know, a couple things that are different than some of the other dashboards we've seen are this one has tasks that are, you know, either assigned to me or tasks that I've created as reminders, phone calls that I need to make. I need to follow up on this invoice here as well. And then the key performance indicators are over here. So I'm going to go ahead and create an opportunity, which would be, you know, I've had Ultima Technologies is a company that called in and is interested in engaging with us on a project. And so Ultima calls in and they are interested in actually, you know, an ERP project. And I've had several conversations with them, and we've determined that we really need to scope out the project. So I need to involve my professional services director to have some calls to review the notes that I've put in here. So I'm going to put some notes, you know, just based on my basic understanding of the project. I know it's a ERP implementation, and you know, the client has requested an on-site kickoff, you know, or maybe introduction meeting. They 20 users and are a manufacturer. So I can pass along notes based on the key requirements that I've heard. Generally, that would be a lot longer. You know, potential red flags might be that, you know, some users are adverse to technology change. I'm also going to put in an expected close date of 9/5/2018. So by saving this opportunity now that I've created as a salesperson, what's going to happen, because the status is set to need scoping, it is automatically going to show up as a reminder on the list of the professional services director. So when we talk about handoffs within an organization, you can see that that as Mark Collins, the professional services director in this organization, I have a number of opportunities that need to be scoped, and one of them here is this, you know, Ultima Technology ERP project that the sales professional just put in here. So now I can see it in my role, and I can go through and now create out a project, let's say, and you know, we could create a new project, et cetera. that would automatically fill in the items that are associated with that. So it might fill in that there is, a need for X number of service hours. So here's our, there's data migration, there's 50 hours of data migration, there's, 100 hours of service, et cetera. Populate all of that based on the projects that I've built out as the professional services director. And now I set the status back to scoping complete, and that would show back up on the sales executive's dashboard that I can go ahead and set up a proposal conversation with that client. So the handoff between various parts of the organization all working out of one platform, all the way through the billing portion of it as well. Once this project kicks off and is ready to bill and there are hours against it, that is going to show up on the controller's dashboard that this project needs billing. Another area that I want to just point out while we're talking about, it is the ability to see the dashboards on an iPad or iPhone or really any mobile device as well. So the same technology works from any device. So here I am logged in as a controller, of one of the organizations we've been looking at today, and I can see sales orders that I need to approve. And this is my iPad that is just being mirrored to my computer, and I'm loading that on my iPad. Once again, the same interface. Here I can see sales orders, that I need to go ahead and submit, or that I need to go ahead and approve right from my iPad. So a seamless interface from computer to iPhone to iPad as well, I think, is important with dashboards and being able to drill into the technology and utilize the technology no matter where an individual is. So we are going to switch back here to the presentation. We'll try that again. There we go. So we just looked at the ability to hand off information to others' dashboards, and I thought that this, was an appropriate quote by, if you're not familiar with Glassdoor, it is an employment review website that reviews companies for prospective employers to see details of an organization. And William Herrick, their VP of Finance, said that they wanted to, invest in streamlining operations and growing the business, but didn't really want to have to expand the IT infrastructure. So they replaced a number of different disparate systems with NetSuite in this case and increased the transaction volume by 5 times without adding any staff, and decreased their monthly close from 25 days to 5 days. So really streamlining processes, as I've shown here, having everybody working out of the same system. We had a client that went from 18 different disparate systems down to NetSuite as a single system of record. Keeping all that data too in the NetSuite platform allowed for much deeper analysis and dashboard capabilities, which really leads into the 6th area, which is a single source of the truth. So, having all of those various operational areas of the organization working out of one system prepares for the future, creates greater business agility, and makes it easier to manage as well. So, with a traditional legacy software model, we call it the hairball effect of having all of these different systems that are loosely connected through integrations. All those red lines, the hairballs, reflect integrations. And what ends up happening is that nobody wants to upgrade any one of these systems because the upgrade could break, the interfaces to the other systems, and it makes it challenging. So oftentimes an organization ends up with old software versions running, or the different systems aren't communicating well, and a lot of the organization is living in Excel. So we, approach it really with the NetSuite platform from having everything in one system. In the case of, distribution or manufacturing, having the customer, the item, the order, all of that in one system, no matter the source, whether it comes from e-commerce, from the website, having all of the product information management for the website driven out of the same common system versus having disparate systems. So It's really the idea behind NetSuite and provides much deeper analytics, easier to analyze analytics as well on the dashboard without having to create that hairball of tying everything together. So just another example from Splunk, a data company that runs their business on NetSuite. As they were growing and expanding, having one application, which was NetSuite, allowed them to spend time really drilling into and analyzing the data, maximizing the performance instead of copying and combining data from the various systems. So I think that's a key element in a lot of the organizations that we work with on NetSuite. And we are really at seeing a lot of shift in business models currently. Manufacturers moving into distribution more, distributors moving into manufacturing, services firms looking to offer more products, really hybridized business models. And part of that's being driven by customers expecting a world-class customer experience. And although this isn't directly on the topic of dashboards, I think it's important to talk about really shifting customers' expectations and how having data to help analyze that, it can help you analyze that for the future. And the key example is just the shift that we're seeing in the grocery model right now. When Amazon purchased Whole Foods, every grocery store began to scramble to figure out what their delivery mechanism was going to be. Grocery stores that have existed 50 to 100 years without changing their business model dramatically and are having dramatic shifts in their business model because Amazon is moving into that space. So creating agility, because if you don't have that agility and you don't meet those customer expectations, what ends up happening is customers will call, or they'll Google, a competing product, or they'll look for, a competing solution provider. And it's easy now in today's world being able to Google that. So we really call that the Amazon and Google effect, that not only do you have to have very high customer experience, if you don't, it's easy to find somebody else using Google that will. That's what we refer to as the Amazon and Google effect. So I think that, really summarizes why Meridian Business works with the NetSuite platform. We've talked a lot about dashboards having all that analytics surfaced from the underlying platform from one single source of the truth in the NetSuite platform, managing the entire business operations. And you look at an organization like IDC, they're a third-party analyst firm, similar to a Gartner or Forrester that analyzes all the ERP systems out there. And they named NetSuite the leader in mid-market ERP. And the primary reason was that all of the ERP modules run in a single database and a single code base. So you're not trying to tie together accounting with inventory management in a different system, with sales, CRM in a different system, and then trying to have a business intelligence that goes across that whole, all those different systems. Everything is in one system. And IDC said that attribute, having everything in a single database and a single code base, provided quicker access to data relative to other solutions. So made it really easier, and also made the update seamlessly. So everybody's running on the same version, on the same code base. So as an application like NetSuite releases new features and dashboarding or new KPIs available, it is pushed out to everybody across the board. And ultimately, what that results in for an organization is a 40 to 70% reduction in financial close, 45 to 75% reduction in invoicing costs, driving AR forward, so improving the DSO by 10 to 20%. In terms of the dashboard functionality, that really hits home here, 50 to 80% increase in 360-degree visibility of the organization. So, in a professional services firm, are my projects on track? How am I doing? In a manufacturing or distribution organization, what do we need to be producing in terms of demand planning? Having insights into inventory really improves the overall organization. So I did have a couple questions here. One question is, is there a way to get, and I think this is specific, you know, from a NetSuite user, a way to get reminders filtered by location and or department for lower level managers. So be happy to take that offline. That would be, you know, the ability to filter or save searches fairly easily. So everything in NetSuite that we talked about is driven off of the concept of a saved search on the dashboard. So those reminders could be very easily filtered by location and or department on a manager by manager basis under the save searches here. And then another question while I'm pulling this up here is does this you know, is NetSuite able to replace the demand planning that I'm doing in Excel currently? Yeah, we oftentimes utilize, there's several different technologies in NetSuite to help with the demand planning, so planning inventory analysis, planning manufacturing, not having to do that planning in Excel. So a lot of times, you know, whether it's demand planning or in the professional services organization as well, we will replace Excel. So I see a lot of professional services firms doing all of their service, you know, project management and billing out of Excel, and you know, we can integrate that into one platform that everybody is using. So happy to take the other, you know, any other questions you have offline. You can feel free to email us at sales@meridianbusiness.com, and love for you to join our next webinar as well, Why Mobility Matters. It's the impact of mobility on your customer experience. This is featuring our partner DSI and their mobility platforms, both for inventory, mobilizing supply chain and inventory management, as well as mobilizing field service businesses as well. We'll touch on a number of different applications of mobility as it relates to NetSuite. So please feel free to join us in a couple of weeks. Once again, certainly appreciate everybody's time, and look forward to seeing you on our next webinar. Thank you, and have a great day.